Hi everyone. Today I'm doing a video about my hated slash abandoned books. Don't discredit these authors just because these books, I hated them. And maybe you should read these books and see if you hate them too. I also just really want to complain about these books because I hate them and like no one cares. Yeah, I'm kind of combining this because I usually don't finish books that I hate. Um, and I really have to hate a book to stop reading it. I know a book is bad if I straight up just abandon it. The list is pretty short because I'm really good at picking out books that I like. I have like pretty strict criteria for like what books I'll read because I don't want to waste my time or money. I'm a Capricorn moon and rising. Thank you so much. So first of all, spoilers for every single book here. Okay, so books I hate. First, we're going to start with California Golden by Melanie Benjamin. This book is like is torturous. Like there's just bad things constantly happening. The characters either like suck or they're like there's just one character, I don't remember her name, but the main character's sister goes through like the frickin' like she goes through just awful things, but it's like it almost feels like she's going through these awful things for like our entertainment. Like it doesn't feel like there's a point or a purpose. It's just kind of like what's the grossest thing I could write sort of thing. It made me so uncomfortable. And like the girl's sister is so used to this behavior. So it's so normal. The way it's talked about, it's never like really questioned. Like a character will kind of be like, huh? But like it's never examined why she's like this. Cause like you kind of know why she's like this. But I just hate it. I just hate when characters like just go through awful thing after awful thing and then there's no like redemption at the end because I understand that that's realistic, but like I don't like books like that. I don't need like the gambit of like every horrible thing this girl's ever been through. That's not how I like to read. I just don't like super dark, scary like plot lines. Like a lot of the books I read are pretty light. I don't really like enjoy reading heavy content. I never really have. Yeah, this book was just like a lot. It was very heavy. And I did finish it and I was like I wanted to finish it because I was like, oh maybe like there's a reason or like the end of this book will make sense. And then I got to the end and it just like didn't and I was more mad. I wish I had just abandoned it. Yeah, the main characters are just like so unlikable. Like the main girl is fine, but everyone else is like, ugh. So the book The Guest by Emma Cline. I hated this book. I hated it. So my favorite book of all time, if you watched my other video, is The Girls by Emma Cline. I love that book. It's historical fiction about the Manson murders, but it's from the perspective of like a 14-year-old girl who like gets swept up with the Manson family basically. She has this book called The Guest. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. I probably will like it because it's Emma Cline. Like I love her. Which I had only read her one book. So I actually now looking back, I'm like, I don't think I like her. Like, I like her in that book, but like it doesn't translate to other books. I don't know. The Guest by Emma Cline is just it's just weird. The premise is weird, which is true of the girls, but this one just gets so weird. Um, the main character is a beach bum, so you'd think I would like it, like I would like that vibe because I generally do. And I definitely once identified as a beach bum when I lived down the shore. And so I should like this book, but I was just immediately uninterested. And I think that the main character is similar to the main character in The Girls, but the circumstances of The Guest are way more boring. Like basically this chick just like lives with an old man or something, and it just didn't catch my like attention the first three chapters. I was like, I don't really care about this girl's life. Like, this is so boring. Like, who's this man? Like, I just like didn't care. But the main characters in The Girls and The Guest, they are very impressionable at the beginning of the novel, and I like that in The Girls because it like really lends well to the story. But I just did not like this girl. She was just like going with the wind, like not even the vibes, just like a sunfish, just like going with the waves, not even trying. And it was just like I just did not like it. Um, and yeah, like obviously I have like empathy for women in situations like this. So yeah, I should like this book, but I just don't. And yeah, it was just boring and I hated it and it didn't catch my attention the first couple chapters, so I said peace out to it. All right, next is Happy and You Know It by Laura Hankin. This is again like there's nothing wrong with these books. They're just the vibes are not sitting well with me. So basically, it's just a point of view, like the point of view switches every chapter, which I do like about this friend group and like like they all have babies. And so like I don't have any kids, so that like wasn't very interesting to me. Not that books about moms are not interesting. I just like don't usually gravitate towards that. Like I'm not a mom. This book, like the premise was interesting, and I know I guess it's like I could say it's technically a kind of an interesting premise and a good book, but the content really bored me. It was all like affairs and like parenting problems. I was just like, like I don't need to read a book about a group of friends like cheating on their significant others who are in the friend group with their friends. Like I'm good on that. Yeah, that's just not like my thing. Yeah, these topics are just not, they're not it for me. They're not it. And like it just felt depressing to read. And I don't really like cheating plots because I just feel so fucking bad for like the third person. The whole book, I just feel awful for them. So I just don't read that stuff. And then, like, I think it could, I think, like, for the demographic that it's going for, which is like parents, I think that it's like a good book for that, except the friendship group cheating thing. That's annoying. But everything else was dope and could have, I could see it being helpful. It wasn't dope. I didn't think it was dope, but I could see it being helpful and like women, moms, whoever, parents relating to this. Variants. Mom, dad, and my variant. That's such a bad joke. Okay, so the next book is Arcadia by Lauren Gross. It's like a bland hippie story with the. I'm down with hippie vibes, you know. I like hippies usually, unless they're like conspiracy theory Republicans, anti-vaxxers. That's not really my vibe. But like, you know, free love, whatever. I'm all like, you know, flare jeans, braids. I think it's cool. In this book, I abandoned this book. After a couple chapters, they live on a commune. I think it's from the point of view of this little boy, main character, whose parents are like in the commune or whatever. So the book just kind of drags. The main character would reflect on his experiences and then, but the details were so limited because he was like four. So you're basically like, for like, I swear, like 4 chapters, whatever I read, you're reading up from the point of view of like a 4-year-old boy. And like, it was so boring. And like, I had no idea like what the fuck was going on. Cause you know, when you're like four, like you're a little kid, like you don't actually know what's happening. You are analyzing what's going on, but you're four, so you don't have, you're not, you're a 4-year-old, you know, you're a little kid. So it doesn't really, it just wasn't good. I guess it was a realistic portrayal of like what a 4-year-old's point of view is, because it's like kind of, they have no idea what's going on. But it was, as an adult to read it, I was like, this is awful. I was like, I hate this. I did not like it. I could have liked this book if it appeared to get more exciting because the boy gets older and has experiences, but the writing was just really mid and uninteresting. And a way I kind of gauge if I should keep reading a book is I will just pick random pages. Like I'll just go like open it to random pages I haven't read yet, and I will just read random sentences and passages. And if like they don't excite me, I just like give up on the book because I'm already 50% done with the book. And so yeah, I'll just go in the back and like look. And I just remember like every passage was so like flat. Like it just was so boring. I literally wrote that I think this author just sucks at making discussions fun. And I don't know if that's true, but that's the vibe I got. Next is an absolutely remarkable thing by Hank Green. I hated this book. I just hated it. And I love John Green. I love Hank Green. I was like looking forward to this book coming out because so I like grew up like on John Green. Like I was reading that shit like in high school, like everyone else my age. There's some of the few books that I look back on now with such fondness that have like male main character. A man writing about a male main character was not usually what I was reading. And so the way that these books humanize like the girls, like John Green is just such a good author. Like I don't like when people are like, oh, he just writes books for teenagers, and it's like, okay, what, like where's the diss? Like, okay, like teenagers need books to read too, and they deserve to have like good books. And I like Hank Green. Yeah, I just, the plot was boring. It felt like it wasn't sci-fi enough or realistic enough. It felt like it straddled this really awkward space, and I just was not vibing with it. And the main character was like kind of like badly written. I just wrote that they were boring. Like I thought that, oh, I wrote that they weren't likable. Which is not a bad thing. It just was like, I don't know, I didn't really like the main character. Maybe it's not that she wasn't likable. I just didn't like her. Just like, I don't like the perspective of her. Her friend is cool. Like I actually I think I liked the friend character, like her guy friend. I actually finished this book because I really wanted to know the end. And I just thought it was awful. I thought the ending was awful. It was pretty freaking gruesome. I don't know. I just was not vibing. And then there's another book, and I was like, this is so like I'm not reading that. Like I read like the jacket, and I was like, I can't do this. I hated this book. Yeah, I don't like that. If Hank Green wrote another book that was not related to this, I would give it another shot. Like I do enjoy his work, but maybe I'm not a fan of him as an author. Okay, next is Cover Story by Susan Rigetti. So this is massive spoilers. This book, a lot of people say in the comments and the reviews of this, whenever this book is talked about, people say that they like how it's like Anna Delvey. It's very similar. And like, I didn't watch it. I think it's called Exposing Anna or something. I never watched whatever things were made about Anna Delvey. Like, I heard her story and I was like, okay. Like, I just don't really care. I don't think it's like that interesting that like somebody like faked their way to the top and just like fucked people over and like probably maxed out their credit cards and like lied about all that because like the whole point of like being well known or like being um like famous, being rich, like being in space in those spaces in LA, which I've mind you, I've never been in those spaces. It's just like from what I understand about how it works is like most people are like faking it till they make it. Like people are like going on vacation, like on credit cards that they're maxing out and like that they're still paying for it like 2 years after the vacation. You know, people can rent designer outfits. You can rent, I found this out recently, you can rent like apartment spaces that, and then you can, people will go in, they'll rent it for like, you know, 90 bucks an hour or whatever. They'll go in, they'll film, you know, 5 videos. They'll have like 5 different outfits. They'll be like in different corners of the room and they're making it look like they live this life. So I just, in the age of social media and the age of like the Kardashianism of like literally everything. This like makes me twitch. Please follow and watch out for Kardashian Colloquium. And she's writing a book right now. And yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on there. And so I'm pretty key. I like I think that's all interesting. I think it's like interesting that that's like what's going on now. So the Anna Delvey story like isn't super interesting to me because like she's just doing what influencers like do now. Like maybe minus like making your friends pay $20,000 for the hotel room or whatever. But I just don't think it's that interesting that like, oh, she faked it to hang out with fucking whoever. I don't know, Paris Hilton, all these people. And it's like, I don't, that's not like that impressive to me. You know, everyone's faking it in LA. Not everyone, but influencers in LA are faking it. So the fact that she did, and then now she's on Dancing with the Stars, like why are we glorifying like a criminal? Like she like fucks people over. This is not a victimless crime. I think it's insane. It's like the whole Gypsy Rose thing. Like we shouldn't be like glorifying this. Like I'm not mad that Gypsy did a press run and is I'm not Gypsy's not really like my problem with it. My problem is the way that everyone's treating it. We literally saw her be exploited fresh out of prison. I just think like the girl bossification of criminals is we've gone that's a little too much. Like a lot of the true crime people, I think also that's maybe not the true crime people, the true crimeification, girl bossification, Kardashianification, actressification, whateverification of criminals is a little insane to me. And I don't think it's that interesting. Even like I really like The Bling Ring. That's one of my favorite movies. That's not one of my favorite movies. I love The Bling Ring though. It's very like Y2K. But like I don't think like Alexa like I don't think she's innocent. Like I just think she's like she's a criminal. Like I don't know. Like allegedly. I don't know. They're stealing. I understand it's from rich people. But that's a crime. Like you can't just go in people's houses and like steal shit. I don't think it's very girl boss to steal. I literally wrote it's just a copy of Anna Delvey's story. And there's nothing that makes the main character stand out. She's like incredibly basic and like just like a fashion girly, but like not in like a fun way. Like she's just kind of lame. And there's a twist at the end. I think the twist is literally that like she's been in a coma for like 6 months, like the main character, and all that was like made up. What? No. It's giving like it was a dream. Like that's such a bad ending. Oh my God. Except in the Start All Over music video by Miley Cyrus. That's a good ending. Where it was like all a dream. Anyway, next one. Okay, this next book, I hate this book like with everything in my body, like every cell. I hate this book. It's called Other People's Clothes by Kala Henkel. I hate this book. I hate this book. The plot makes me so mad. This main character, her best friend gets murdered. So she's like, I'm gonna go to Europe. She's like lives in Florida or something. So she's like, I'm gonna go to Europe. I'm gonna go to Berlin for the semester, whatever. Goes to Berlin, meets a girl who's very into like it's like the early 2000s. It's similar to that case with like the girl who like in Italy, like the exchange student, I can't remember her name. It's kind of the same vibe. It was like the same time, like Europe, so it's kind of the same vibe. But this girl basically, so she goes to Berlin and she meets her friend, this friend, her name's Haley. I don't even remember the main character's name, but I loved Haley. Haley was the best part of the book. The main character was very shy and like probably closeted and like just kind of like very like withdrawn and like very insecure. Like so her as a main character was kind of boring compared to Haley because Haley was so fun and like she was into like Paris Hilton and like Lindsay Lohan, and it was like it's like 2005, like so she's just very into that whole scene. And she's like, I love how earnest she is. She's so earnest. She's so like real. She's so honest. She's so empathetic. And then the main character just kind of like sucks and like literally at one point, so this girl goes to Berlin and then they become besties. And then Haley ends up getting murdered by like their landlord who's been spying on them. We don't know it's the landlord yet. So everybody thinks that it's the main character. So Haley's murdered, which is horrible. And it makes me so mad because why do we need the death of two women in this book? Like, what happened to the men? What happened to like anything else? This makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that Haley died. Sorry, was murdered. And then, so then the roommate, the main character gets accused of the murder. And by the end of it, it all gets like turned around and like everything's fine. And like there's proof that the landlord did it. So she gets out of prison. But like, okay. Another thing I hated about the main character was like, so she 100% did not murder Haley. Like there's proof she was like, she wasn't even home that night because it's literally from her perspective. So you would like she fucking murdered her. It might have been literally the day before, but I know that there had been a time where like Haley really pissed off the main character, probably for doing something not that bad. I hate the main character. And she ends up going to like her like friend's house or whatever. Like they're not dating or whatever. The main character was at this girl's house the night that Haley was murdered in the apartment. So like the main character was away. But the main character when she's arrested, that friend of hers, like the girl that she's hooking up with or whatever, she gets questioned by the police. And she says that the main character was talking about how she wants to like murder Haley and like rip her fucking throat out or strangle her and like pull her hair and like do all this really vile shit. Like, so then you're like, this girl's kind of like that's a little scary. So anyway, so you think that's a little scary. And I don't like that. I don't like that she was threatening her friend's life over something not that probably. I think they were fighting about like the parties they were throwing or something. It was so like inconsequential. It was not important. The main character, she loses her best friend from home and her best friend from Europe. She loses both of them within like a year or whatever. And then, so then she gets to come home because she's proven innocent because it's proven that the landlord did it. So she gets to come home and she's hanging out with. And then at like the end of the book, literally the last page, she finds her like first best friend that was murdered's nameplate necklace in the back of like her former boyfriend's car. So then it's implied at the end of the book that the boyfriend killed the original best friend. And it's like, what? We don't know anything about this man. We don't know anything. We know like 5% about him. Like we know such bare minimum. And to drop that at the end of the book didn't even make sense because so much. If it had been a more quaint story and we had gotten to know the boyfriend, that's actually a really good ending. I actually think that's a good ending. That rounds everything out. It tells us who he is. but we don't know anything about this man. So that pissed me off so bad. It literally made me so mad. I'm still mad about it to this day. I can't find a single person online that agrees with me that the story is awful. I hate this book so much. No one agrees with me. I Google it. I'll be like, I hate other people's clothes. Like ending. I hate the ending. And all the comments are like talking about how like the ending was cool and like they liked the book. And I'm like, that's you're lying. I hate this book. No, I'm glad other people like it. I hate it. It makes me so mad. I wanted the main character to be redeemed. I wanted to like this girl. But like only like the plot, like there was nothing interesting that happened at the end. And like this girl is never like I don't know. Then the gay thing kind of bothered me because like I wanted it to be gayer. She was so closeted and like insecure, and I was like, oh, maybe like when she originally starts like hooking up with this girl, I was like, oh, she's gonna like grow into her sexuality and like that's her arc. Nope, she just doesn't have an arc. She's like, best friend was this is her life. Best friend was murdered, sad, goes to Europe, having fun, partying. Other best friend is murdered. Then arrested, even lower, arrested in like prison or whatever, like a rehabilitation center for like criminals in Europe, super rock bottom. And then she gets out of jail. She comes home. She comes home. Yay, yay, yay. And then that's it. She just ends where she started. And it was so boring. And I hated it. So I literally wrote the only thing I liked about it was that it was a little gay. So I really liked. I just wanted it to be gayer though. It was just and I loved Haley. Haley was like the best character. She was the best part of it. I want a whole series. I want a TV show about Haley's life. Everyone else, I hated it. Okay, I've been filming for like 40 minutes. Those are my most hated slash abandoned books. Bye.